Hi, it's Tiffany again. Sorry it took me so long to record another video, to be honest. I wasn't real happy with my first one. I thought it was terrible, as a matter of fact. It took me a while to even get motivated to make another video. So anyway, sorry for the delay, but today we're going to talk about how strong emotions like anger and jealousy can really tell you a little bit about your heart's desire. So if you feel like you're, exerting a lot of energy towards being angry at something or someone, when it's clear that you've never really been attacked by it, there's never been a direct personal front or gesture towards you personally, maybe something like people who stand in the coffee line and ask for more than, they just take up too much time and ask for things that aren't on the menu and, or seem to be clueless about other people's time, but just always asking for more. Go to a restaurant and somebody's doing that, they want this on the side. And I had a girlfriend that ordered a pizza once, but then she pretty much, through the whole thing, she ended up with just some crust, and I don't even know if she ended up with sauce on it. Honestly, it was just like, I want the pizza. And then the server was just like, okay, so you want a pepperoni pizza with no pepperoni, no cheese, no this, no that. And she's being sarcastic, and my girlfriend's like, yeah, that's it, exactly. And actually, I love my girlfriend. She's just like that, But, and I'll use her as an example in a minute, but, just one of those things where you just like, it just really gets your goat, and you don't necessarily have a real a situation or experience where it really directly affected you or impacted you, something like that. And that could be something else that you really gets your goat, and then it has actually, you've been confronted with it. But, so like an example would be when I was, just years ago, SUVs became so popular. You'd see them on the road everywhere, and they were just the car to covet, the vehicle to covet. Everybody wanted one, and it was just they're all over the road. And I would just get so mad at and just judgmental, which isn't really my nature anyway, but of people driving SUVs on the road. They're so huge, you can't see around them. And I would just, I wouldn't even have a lot more complaints than that, even, because at the time saving our planet wasn't as big of a concern as it is now. But anyway, it was out of character for me. So, and it may not be out of character for you, but I was trying to remember what led me to explore further what it was that was really bothering me, or why I took it so personal that this person dared to have, the vehicle of choice on the road. But at some point, I ended up just sort of asking myself, well, why am I so mad at them? It's not like I had a wreck or, have any reason to associate the driver having crappy morals or, being shallow based on their vehicle choice. There was no reason for me to have that association. And I think at some point I must have asked myself, well, do you want an SUV? I just, I'd always driven like a sedan. My parents were always station wagon drivers or little compact cars, it was just efficient, and new used vehicles. We had 4 kids and not a lot of money, and it just was very practical. And so I just always had assumed that was my lot in life. I hadn't even known I assumed it, one of those self-limiting beliefs, really. You just assume that's the rules of the road of life, is you get what your parents had, And I realized, what? I really want an SUV. And, and I was a little embarrassed that I wanted something that everybody else wanted, because I tend not to be much of a trend follower. In a way, I'm a little bit of a snob in that regard. But yeah, I liked the sportiness, the size. It looked like fun. They look cool. The height is nice. So it just And once I actually asked myself that question, well, what if you had an SUV? Are you shallow? Does that make you mean and cruel and selfish? And it's like, no, actually, I really want one, actually, and I know I wouldn't be like that. And so I just ended up connecting the two, that was just my heart's desire. And the real issue was not so much that I wanted an SUV and maybe I couldn't even afford it at the time, was that I was telling myself I couldn't have it. I was telling myself I couldn't have it in a larger picture, as in I can't have it right now because I don't have the money, or things like that are frustrating, but it's circumstantial. You might feel like you kind of have some control over that for the future. And that could be also a source of frustration if you feel like you can never have what you really, really want. Like you don't have any control over that, like falling in love or something like that. But in this case, it was a relief to just realize that I was just really battling with myself to say, even if I had the money, I couldn't have it, basically. It's like money was not an issue, timing, resources, whatever. It was just that's not what I got in life. And I was envious, jealous of those who dared to get that for themselves, who had that permission somehow, and I did not. So it's kind of silly coveting a car and stuff, but it's a good simple example, because I was very irritated. I was very justified in resenting these people, and it was just very ingrained in me. I just didn't even realize that was a rule I had decided would apply to me, and I must adhere to those rules. So if you find, another thing too is like going back to the coffee line example. So you find people that are asking for more than what's being offered. And going back to my girlfriend's example, it's like, there's other things too. It's like I'm kind of rather sort of stick to the rules, and then as long as I have enough information and I think I can deliver it clearly, I'm not completely opposed to breaking the rules. But, for the most part, I want the harmony and I want to get along and sort of go with the flow, and that's kind of my temperament. But here's my girlfriend just totally asking for what she wanted, and she didn't even, it wasn't even like a pause, or she didn't even catch the server's sarcasm, because that's what she wanted. And she was there to get what she wanted, and in a way, I just really admired that about her, that she just thought nothing different, thought nothing of it in a way. And I know it's annoying, but think about it. I mean, if your first thought is, oh, I hate those guys, is your irritation really more, that you're envious of their willingness and confidence to ask for what they want? That they're not forcing themselves to adhere to the rules and to make peace. They just have free license to ask for what they want. And is that such a bad thing? And in that case, what is it you're not asking for that you really, really want? What is it that you're not being your best friend about, being your hero, your champion? Is it, staying at a hotel room and you really want a balcony, and they're like, sorry, it's all booked, or like, I don't know, and you're suspicious that maybe they're not trying hard enough, but you don't say anything. And even if sometimes you don't get it, or it's not up to some other person to give it to you, the point is that I think you'll find a barrier will be broken down within you when you agree to pursue what you really wanted in that situation. So maybe sometimes it's okay that, there really isn't a room with a balcony and they're full, and you really don't feel like anyone's not cooperating with you. At least you're asking for what you wanted. At least you gave yourself license to speak up. And that's what you need to know about yourself, is that you can count on you to do what's right for you. And if that means asking for a little bit more than what's being presented, then so be it. Because nobody else is going to do that for you, or at least you don't know. And there's times where there isn't anybody. And maybe you're taking care of a child or somebody else that's counting on you to really be the defender, the champion. And you need to do it for yourself too. So anyway, I wanted to encourage you, if you have strong feelings about something, especially if it's like anger, because that's exhausting. That's exhausting energy to put towards something. And, you need to find out what I feel like, and I've kind of read some places, and I'll get better at offering resources, by the way. I just had some stuff off the top of my head I wanted to share, but anger is usually is a symptom of something else. Anger is usually a symptom of fear. I think a lot of times fear, hurt is also fear of not being loved, not being safe, things like that. So if you have a lot of strong energy being dedicated towards something or something, someone or something, step back and just kind of see what it is that, just try and change the dialogue and see what is it that maybe you are denying yourself. Whether it's just your right to feel the way you feel, whether it's the right to want what you want. And it's got to start first in your head. That's the thing, is that I don't have a solution for how you go about getting that hotel room you really want. I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers. What I want to encourage you to do is give yourself permission to really think or want what you want first, and recognize that. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. It was just like my last video. It's up to you to give yourself permission for those things, and then it'll change, because you're just having a wrestling match with yourself ultimately in the beginning, and then it's just going to go downhill from there. Because unless you meet somebody incredibly insightful that can just zero in on that thing that's you needed specifically, you're going to have to do it for yourself. But you'll thank yourself for it. The other day I was at the gym and I went into the locker room, and there was a lady there that was changing, and she wasn't in real good shape. You could tell she was there to get healthy and stuff, and that's and she just said something to the extent of, "Oh, they just really bugged the heck out of me," or whatever. That just irritates me to no end. They're laying on that bench over there in the locker room, just on their phone, or they're on the machine and they're on their phone, just sitting there. And so I could kind of picture what she meant, because I'd seen girls laying on the bench or sitting on the bench in the locker room just on their phone, but they're not in the way. It's not like you can't get past them, or that it's handicap and they're hogging it or something. And the machines are kind of annoying, because it's like you'd like to use a machine and actually use it, and there's some guy doing whatever on his phone, occupying that space, and then you're forced to conform to either walking around and not saying anything and just kind of waiting, or find alternatives. And there's another opportunity, by the way, to say, hey, you gonna be using that for long, or figure out some way to address that thing. But back to the lady in the locker room. So anyway, she was just irritated. She was speaking directly to me. And so, I asked a question. I wasn't really pleased with how I said it. Because if you think about it, what I said was, what difference does it make to you? Well, there's a couple different ways you deliver it. In my head, it sounded like, oh, what difference does it make to you? But what it came out as is, what difference does it make to you? And I know they sound similar, but usually when somebody's asking that question, it's kind of sarcastic. And I really kind of wanted to know why was it impacting her? And at first it did kind of push my buttons, because she was kind of one of those angry people that probably angry most of the time. But, she's just the kind of person that I like talking to for the most part, because I can see there's this wounded person inside that needs love and acceptance, and they don't know how to give it to themselves. So what I've decided is that if I see her get in the locker room, what I'm going to do is just, because I'm thinking, instead of just talking to her about those people, because the people and the gym behavior is it's not really the issue. It's more about her. And she's got something going on inside her, some struggle. So I think what I'll do is I'll ask her next time, how's her workout going? Because I saw her actually working with a personal trainer, and she was kind of talking his head off too. So she just obviously needs a lot, needs to connect, needs to be heard, and is kind of going outside herself to fulfill a lot of needs within her, low self-esteem, things like that, I would guess. But anyway, so I just decided, well, I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you what happened. And I decided to kind of reset, and I was like, okay, what's a more constructive way to address this? Because I'd like to see if I could, I don't know. It'd be nice to think I could help her, but I don't know how far, she's not asking for my help, first of all. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on how it goes. Just anyway, because if nothing else, that's what I need to do for me, is I need to, one, turn the dialogue around and not be that person that went, what does it mean to you? What does that difference mean? It's like, that's not me, and that's not how I want to be going forward. So I want to change that, first of all, for my sake, if nothing else. And then second of all, it'd be nice to just find out maybe there's a way to kind of help herself a little bit, Anyway, just my emotional healer coming out in some degree, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted though. We'll see if she has anything new to say. So that's it. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.